Hey friends, thanks for joining with us on our YouTube channel today. We are in a mini series on the topic of conflict. Conflict can be defined as a difference in opinion or purpose that frustrates someone's goals or their desires. Conflict is something that impacts all of us, whether it's on a professional level, at home with our family, friendships, in the marketplace. And so, since we're going to have conflict, we want to find a way to deal with it. I want to talk about today very briefly about what I'm calling conflict's best friend. Conflict's best friend. And the best friend I think of conflict, the best way to overcome or to work through it healthy is having good listening skills. So we're going to talk about two aspects of that. The Bible says in James chapter 1 verse 19 that everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And I tell you what, that really sums up one way of dealing with conflict in an effective way to really help relationships and work through that. To be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So today we're talking about being quick to listen. And we're talking about two aspects of that. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But why would we want to have good listening skills when it comes to conflict? Well, there's at least two reasons. One of those reasons is good listening skills will enable you to gather the important data that you really need to get to the place where you can resolve the conflict. And when we're talking about that today, I'm particularly talking about conflict that comes to us, not what we generate, but another person comes to us. They're frustrated with us. Good listening skills can really help you know exactly what the real problem is, because what's going on the surface a lot of times is different than the source of that conflict. So you want to be a good listener. A second reason that we want to be a good listener is what we're saying when we're listening is possibly more important than what we say after we've listened. What do I mean by that? Well, one of the best things you can do in a person's life is you can listen to them, because what that says to them is, I value you, that I'm spending time listening to you. I value what you have to say. So those are two reasons why we want to be good listeners. Now, I want to talk about two aspects of that today. The first is that of waiting. Waiting. The importance of waiting. When a person comes to you and they're frustrated, there's conflict, to be able to have the discipline to wait, to not interrupt them, is very, very important, okay? When you are there, you want to try to make sure that you don't jump to premature conclusions. The mind operates quicker than we can talk or than we can speak. And so a lot of times what we'll do if we're not careful is we will begin listening to a person and we think, oh, I know where this is going. So if we arrive at the destination before the speaker does, that can be a problem, because they may not know where they're going. And if we don't listen, we're not going to catch the whole story. Secondly, in that is discipline yourself to not interrupt. One surefire way to cause greater conflict is when someone is upset with you, they're upset about a situation, and you choose not to listen to them, but instead you interrupt them. You're inviting more conflict, but you're also inviting them to not continue to share. A lot of times people are going to get mad. A lot of times they'll just shut down. And so you're not going to be able to get to the core root of that conflict to be able to work through that. It's particularly hard not to interrupt when you're limited on your time, or you think you are, or when you completely disagree with what they're saying. But listen to this. Listening to them, hearing them out, is not saying that you agree with them. You're just giving them that time to share, and then you can respond later. A third thing when it comes to waiting is learn to be comfortable with silence. Most people can't stand silence. If you can learn to be comfortable with silence, when a person is unpacking something, they're sharing with you, they're frustrated, and you're able to be silent at the right time in the right way, they're probably out of discomfort. They're going to fill that void, and it's very likely that they're going to fill that void with some other things that are really important when it comes to their conflict. Okay, the last thing I want to share with you when it comes to waiting is, do not feel like you have to offer solutions for every challenge. A lot of us are fixers. And so we're going to listen to a person with the idea of, I'm going to fix every problem that they bring up. Some people at different times, they don't want you to fix their problem. The fix is you listening to them. And sometimes if you jump in to fix it before they get to their conclusion, you're going to cause more conflict. So don't feel like you have to fix everything. Sometimes being a good listener can fix a big part of their conflict, okay? Because they're walking through that, they're talking through that. Okay, secondly, we're talking about waiting, but the second thing is attending, to give them attention that they deserve. Again, the mind moves so quickly. And so when you're sitting there and you're listening to a person, your mind wants to multitask. You're going to want to jump to, what's on the news, what's on the phone. I wait for them to get to the punchline so I can share my part. Trying to think about what you're going to say. But we want to make sure that we give them that attention, because what it does say to them is, I'm hearing you, I'm tracking, you're valuable, and that can do more to resolve conflict than you can even imagine. So what are some good attending skills that you want to focus on? Well, you're going to want to maintain regular eye contact. You don't want to stare them down. You don't want to stare a hole through them. You don't want to make it awkward, but you want to have good eye contact. You want to, focus in on their eyes, because you can tell a lot of what's going on through their eyes. The second thing that you're going to want to do is avoid negative body language, unless you don't want to resolve the conflict, okay? Negative body language, something like the folding of the arms, the crossing of the arms. An umpire does that when, there's a questionable call and someone approaches the mound. What they're saying is, I've made my decision. I'm not really listening to you. And so we're saying the same thing when we cross our arms, when you tap your foot, when you stop and you look at your phone in the midst of somebody, trying to talk to you. So try to avoid any negative body language that's there. The rolling of the eyes is never a good one, by the way. A third one is try to eliminate distractions, okay? Turn your television off if you're having a conversation and it's a situation with conflict. Turn the television off. Silence your phone if at all possible. Try to sit, if you're in public, try to sit in a way or in an area where you're not going to be distracted with people walking by. Okay, so try to eliminate those distractions, can help you. Another one, another attending principle is to lean forward slightly. You've often heard the concept, I was at the edge of my seat, like when you're watching a movie. I was at the edge of my seat. What do we mean by that? I was engaged, okay? And so what happens when we lean forward is we really get more engaged in the conversation, but it also, again, sends the message to that person that I'm listening to you. I'm hearing what you have to say. The last thing I would say is to employ effective encouragers. Chris Voss, in his book, talks about effective encouragers. Never Split the Difference is a book that he wrote. And effective encouragers, well, I said earlier, you want to get comfortable with silence. You don't want to just be silent. You want to, let them know, I am listening. Yep. Really? You don't say. Are you serious? Things like that can just encourage that person to continue to speak. So listening really is the best friend when it comes to conflict. I hope that you will take these to heart. I hope that if you're in the midst of some conflict in your life, that this can be helpful to you. If we could be of any help to you, please give us a call, 903-261-2490, or you can email us at keithkelly2425@gmail.com. That's KEITHKELLEY 2425@gmail.com. Have a great day.